What is going on, everybody? I hope everybody's having a great Wednesday night. This is your AEW Dynamite review for Wednesday, September 29, 2021, the final Dynamite of the month of September. I am the Solomonster. It's been 18 months since Dynamite was scheduled to take place in Rochester, New York, with the big reveal of who the Exalted One was. They were hyping that up for a long time. Who is the Exalted One that's going to lead the Dark Order? And everybody had different ideas for who it would be. Christopher Daniels, Matt Hardy, maybe Brodie Lee. There were a lot of names that were being thrown around, and it was going to be the big payoff. And then this pesky pandemic ruined everything. And that Dynamite did not take place in Rochester. Instead, it took place in Jacksonville in a building in front of no fans. And it was not the debut that Brodie Lee was expecting, although he did debut that night as the Exalted One leading the Dark Order. He thought he would be debuting in his hometown. And I'm sure all of his hometown fans thought the same thing. Tonight, AEW finally made it to Rochester, but without its hometown son. AEW dedicated tonight's show to the memory of Brodie Lee. They brought his family in, his widow, his son. -1 was back on TV tonight. This was a show meant to be in his honor. And what they gave us was, I thought, a fun show tonight with a hot opener and a hot close. That main event was great. I thought the opener was great. And the fans were going nuts at the end there for the new TNT champion, Sammy Guevara. I didn't think they would do it this soon. I thought they would drag it out. There would be a rematch. Maybe they would save it for Full Gear. But I guess they wanted to do something special here for this crowd. They had been denied AEW for so long. And maybe Tony Khan just felt that, hey, we have to give them something special here before we go off the air. And they certainly did that. But I thought on the whole, yeah, there was some filler type stuff in the middle, but I thought this was a fun show. I thought this was a very fun show that highlighted a bunch of the younger faces, started some new programs. We're going to talk about MJF and Darby Allin. It looks like they're going in that direction. And some interesting matches announced for Rampage this Friday, as well as Dynamite next week. It is the 2-year anniversary of Dynamite coming up next week, which actually falls on my birthday. So it's going to be a big special occasion next week. And we already have a whole bunch of matches announced. Do me a favor and do hit that thumbs up, because it does help out the video when you do so. I see all the activity here. I see everybody joining me here in the chat tonight, including Professor John Gotti. I almost missed it. Dropping a $150 bomb and new, he says, in celebration of our new TNT champion. We got to get the good professor to be Sammy Guevara's new manager. That's what we have to do. But Professor Gotti, it is good to see you joining us here tonight for the big Dynamite stream. As you could tell from Mr. Gotti here, Super Chats are open. I'm going to be reading all of your messages. And yes, we have a brand new Super Chat. This comes by popular demand after the Extreme Rules stream the other night. People said to me, you gotta add the Hardy pose. I'm not going to do it here because I don't want to give it away. But indeed, there is a brand new $25 Hardy Monster Super Chat. I took the Butcher and the Blade one. That's the $22 one now. This is the new $25 one. So anyway, all of these, by the way, the special ones are listed in the description down below. If you want to know what amounts correspond with what Super Chats, they're all down below. So just a little FYI there. And also a quick heads up for our channel members. We already picked up a couple of new ones here tonight, so I welcome Zachary and I think Nick. I believe I just saw Nick just became a new channel member. There is a thread up. I put a post up just the other day under the community tab. If you are a channel member, we're going to be doing another members only Q&A video. I'm going to try to get that recorded in the next day or two. So if you have not already done so, if you want to leave a question for me, I will try to get to as many of them as I can. That is the post to go to. Go now and leave your question in there, because I'm probably going to start rounding them up tomorrow. So just a little housekeeping there for all of our family members here on YouTube. Now, as we are streaming live The Rhodes to the Top reality show is debuting on TNT. So I am foregoing that to be with you all here tonight and talk about this show. They were hyping that during the first commercial break of Rhodes to the Top, they were going to interview the new TNT champion. That was their little hook, I guess, for people to stick around and tune in. No Hook, by the way. Speaking of Hook, no Hook. A lot of people going to be very upset. No Hook, no Team Taz on the show tonight. But we did have CM Punk. He was on the show tonight. He was doing commentary. He was the fourth man. And I can't hate on this. You know my thoughts on these four-man commentary booths. I thought Punk was great. I thought Punk did a very good job on commentary. He's not overbearing like certain people are on commentary. I thought he did a fine job, and it's a way to get him on the show when he doesn't have any obvious thing to do. There it is. Who is that? Is that Steven? There's the Hardy Monster. So I don't know what I was doing. I looked like I was having some kind of fit or something on there. But there you go. There's the Hardy Monster Super Chat. Thank you. Thank you, Steven. You get to break that new one in there. So they started out hot tonight. We had Adam Cole going one-on-one with Jungle Boy. Adam Cole had said that Jungle Boy was one of the young bucks, no pun intended, the young pups, young bucks, the young studs here in AEW that has annoyed him, and so he wanted to wrestle him, and here we are. Adam Cole one-on-one against one of the hottest young, really homegrown, if you want to look at it, homegrown, original talents on the AEW roster, one of the more popular members of the roster. Punk said that nobody would be attacking him at the desk tonight because he took out a Lloyd's of London insurance policy. And therefore, nobody would be laying a finger on him. And in fact, nobody did. Nobody did come out and lay a finger on him. And Lloyd's of London, by the way, is smart enough not to insure pro wrestlers anymore. A lot of pro wrestlers got paid a lot of money by Lloyd's of London over the years for injuries that they may or may not have been milking. And so they got hip to it a long time ago. You won't find wrestlers being insured by Lloyd's of London anymore. Hey, Mordecai McNasty, I like that name. That's a kick-ass name, and thank you for becoming a new Sound Off superstar. Thank you. Mordecai McNasty. I like that. That's better than some of the names they're coming up with on NXT. I'll tell you what, I'll take Mordecai McNasty over Von Wagner. They should hire you to come up with those names. So Cole and Jungle Boy, they started out slow. They were kind of feeling each other out at the beginning here, and it built from there. Like any great match, they didn't come right out of the gate at 1,000,000 miles an hour. They started slow, and they built, and they built, and they built. And Jungle Boy had Cole upside down a little bit later on in a Tree of Woe. He came sliding in with a basement drop kick. Cole came back with a backstabber and an Ushi-Goroshi for a near fall. And Jungle Boy hit a beautiful-looking Poison Rana, spiked him right on his head, it looked like, and hit a sliding forearm to the back of the head for a near fall. So Cole surprised Jungle Boy with a super kick, sent him out to the floor, and Cole was teasing a Panama Sunrise out to the floor. But instead, Jungle Boy went for a dive, and Cole cut him off with a drop kick, and Jungle Boy then hit a diving Hurricane Rana out over the top rope, and he took Cole off the apron all the way down to the floor. That was a 6 spot. That was a 6 spot. I have seen Ricochet do that spot before. It defies all laws of physics and gravity. I am in awe anytime I see anybody hit that move and not break their neck on the way down. So that was awesome. That spot always pops me. Welcome to Steven. Steven Feast, becoming a channel member here tonight. Wait, we already got about 4 or 5 new channel members. These people want to get in on that Q&A. These people want to ask their questions. So back in the ring, Cole made a comeback and hit the Panama Sunrise for a very close near fall. You know my thoughts on that. I'm not even going to complain about it anymore. The Destroyer is not a finishing move. I wish it was. I think it would be perfectly fine as a finishing move, but it's not. But it was good for a near fall here. So then Cole pulls down the knee pad. He goes for the boom. He is now calling it the boom. But Jungle Boy ducked. He locked Cole in his snare trap submission. And so Cole is inching towards the ropes. And as he's inching closer and closer, Jungle Boy breaks the hold. He gets up. He pulls him back into the center of the ring. But before he can reapply the hold, Cole sort of kicks him away. And in all of this, I think it was Adam Cole almost, when he got up, collided almost with Aubrey Edwards. He almost collided with the referee. Jungle Boy is behind him. So now Aubrey, her vision is obscured. She can't see what's going on behind Cole. Cole lifts his leg like a dog, and he delivers a low blow to Jungle Boy. The referee, of course, did not see it, and he hits the running knee to the back of the head for the win. I thought we were going to get some kind of elite distraction on the outside. I was happy that we didn't, so I will take the low blow. He is a heel. You know, he cheats to win. At least we didn't get interference by all the elite goofs. They came out after the match. But when I watched this match and it was over, I just thought to myself, Adam Cole is so freaking good. I mean, I know it's not exactly breaking news. There's a reason why Adam Cole is part of what I think is the greatest match in NXT history against Johnny Gargano. Adam Cole is fantastic. And if Jungle Boy at 24 years old is as good as he is now, and I said this on Twitter, just imagine how great he'll be in 5 years. He hasn't gotten the promo part of it down. That is the weakest part of his game. In the ring, he's fantastic. He can do amazing things in the ring. And the crowds, they love him. He's got a great entrance. He's got a great theme, great theme song. But the promo part, I would hope over time that will come. He admits that it's not exactly something he's comfortable doing. But nobody can deny that in the ring, this kid is great. And he's still young, and he's only going to get better. So I thought this was a great way to open the show. The Elite made their way out, heading into the break. Cole was in the ring. When they came back from break, we had the Super Elite in the ring. We had Adam Cole was in the ring, and we had Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, Brandon Cutler, and Michael Nakazawa. Carl Anderson spoke for a little bit. He didn't really say anything of any great note. And Adam Cole took the mic. He said, he called his shot, and he beat Jungle Boy. He is still undefeated in AEW. Kenny Omega talked about how great his match was last week at Grand Slam against Bryan Danielson. And again, he said he couldn't get the job done. There will be no rematch, he said. So all of a sudden, here comes Bryan Danielson to loud chants of yes, which, as he has said, he will not lead them, but he encourages the fans to go ahead and chant yes. He feels as if he would be shitting on WWE's intellectual property somehow if he came out and started pointing his fingers up in the air. And he clarified, when he talked about that, he clarified later, nobody from WWE has told him not to do anything. He just feels it would be wrong of him to do that. But the fans, by all means, you're not going to stop the fans from going out there and chanting what they want to chant. I think he's smart enough to understand that. So he gets a big ovation coming out. And he asked the fans, do you want to see a rematch between myself and Kenny Omega? And of course, the fans do want to see the rematch. Loud yes chants. Danielson said Omega doesn't have the balls, and he introduced him as Kenny No Balls Omega, which CM Punk said that'll be a new t-shirt, which it probably will be. So Danielson instead, he challenged any member of the Elite for a match on Rampage this Friday. Omega said, well, how about we do something right now? You want to do it now? Let's do it right now. Because he was out there all by himself. And Danielson said, well, I'm not coming alone. And he called out his boys from the back, and here comes Frankie Kazarian, here comes Luchasaurus, here comes Christian Cage, here comes Jungle Boy, back out. And as they head to the ring, the Elite makes the escape up the ramp. So they announced later on in the show that it's going to be Bryan Danielson one-on-one on Rampage this Friday, which I believe is being taped tonight. I could be wrong. I didn't check to see if it's live. I'm pretty sure it's being taped tonight. It'll be Danielson one-on-one against Nick Jackson. And if you remember, when I was talking about Dynamite and Rampage on the streams last week, what I had suggested that with Omega denying him a rematch for the championship, Danielson could run through each member of the Elite in TV matches between now and Full Gear. He could beat Matt Jackson. I said he could beat Nick Jackson. He could even potentially beat Adam Cole. If they wanted to build that as a big TV main event, he wins all of those matches. He goes on to Full Gear to challenge for the championship, and then he falls short. And Kenny Omega retains the title. And I think that could very well happen. Although based on what they announced for Dynamite next week, I have a little bit of a different idea about where they may be going with this. So we'll talk about that later when I run down the matches for next week's show. But if you're looking for one of the highlights of the show tonight, we're going to talk about the main event. You should watch that. But definitely watch this opener if you didn't see it. This is a great match. So there was a segment in the back. Jacob Snake Up in the chat says Solomonster is all elite. Solomonster has his, in celebration of tonight, Solomonster, you can't really see it, has his Brodie Lee shirt on tonight. Honoring the Exalted One himself, with all of the proceeds going to his family. So, the Lucha Bros were backstage. They were being interviewed, and over comes Andrade El Idolo and his assistant Jose. And Andrade congratulates them on their championships. They've got the AAA tag team titles. They have the AEW tag team titles. And he's asking, where's Pac? I feel like we ask that question every week. Pac shows up, he disappears for 4 weeks. He comes back, he disappears for 3 weeks. I don't know where Pac is. Pac was not there. Or at least not in this segment. So Andrade's assistant points out that they had not defended their AAA tag team titles in quite some time. And Rey Fenix says, anytime, anywhere. And Andrade said he had some friends who would be happy to take the titles off of them. I don't know where that is leading to. It seemed to be teasing that maybe there are 2 friends that he will link up with, and who those 2 people would be, I don't know, unless he was referring to himself and someone. But one thing I wrote down is here, they really need to add subtitles to all of these Andrade promo segments. Yeah, if you listen really closely, you can kind of understand what he's saying. But I struggled there. You know, he's got a very thick accent. His English is not great. When they put Chavo with him, I thought, okay, it makes sense, because let Chavo be the one to cut the promos. Let Andrade do most of his talking in the ring. The guy looks great. He wears the suits, right, and the shades. He goes in the ring. We know he can go in there, but his promos are not great. They need to put the subtitles back on screen. They do it for some of his promos, but not all of them. Put the subtitles back on the screen. We had Matt Sydal and Dante Martin against Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson. Drew Johnson in the chat says, how does Charlotte Flair have a conversation with Andrade? Oh, I don't think that's much of an issue between them. It's not so much about the conversations. I think they have fun in other ways, where verbal communication is not needed, unless one has a safe word, of course. But that's of course their business and not mine. I had a girl once who her safe. Well, we won't get into that. But anyway, Matt Sydal and Dante Martin against Cody Rhodes and Lee Johnson, representing the Nightmare family. They teased unease between Cody and Arn Anderson right from the get-go as they were making their entrance. The announcers were talking about there being this kind of awkwardness between them of late. If this is coming off Cody's loss last week to Malachi Black, who is not on the show tonight. Dante Martin is in a league of his own as far as what this kid can do in the ring. When I talk about someone like Jungle Boy being 24 years old, Sammy Guevara also being very young, MJF is young. Darby Allin is young. But Dante Martin, what is he, 20? I think he's about 20 or 21 years old. He's really young. And the things that he can do in the ring are insane when it comes to all of the high-flying stuff. Sydal took out Lee Johnson, and Dante came in with a springboard missile drop kick to Cody for 2. So Dante followed up with a double springboard moonsault. And Lee Johnson climbed back up on the apron, and he reached over and he literally grabbed Cody and dragged him into their corner so that he can tag himself in. He's showing some initiative there, is young Lee Johnson. Dante rolled him up for a near fall, but Johnson came back with a hooking brainbuster across his knee for the win. Far too many moves here to recap every single one of them. It was a very fast-paced match. I enjoyed it. Martin had a chance to shine. And I like the aggression there at the end from Lee Johnson. I like that aspect of it. After the match was over, Tony Schiavone got into the ring. He's going to interview the Nightmare family. And Cody challenge Malachi Black to come out. Arn Anderson grabs the microphone out of his hand, and he tells him to stop talking. Right now, the enforcer is going to speak. Tells Cody to basically shut his trap. And Arn says that, Malachi Black has systematically dismantled all of us. Obviously, he beat up Arn. He kicked Arn in the face. He beat up Lee Johnson. He beat up Brock. At first, he said Brock, and I'm like, wait, what? Brock Anderson, who hasn't been seen since. And, of course, he's now beaten Cody twice. And, Arn talked about how, he wishes he could do more, but he's old. He's too old. So he talked about the match last week, and the part of the match where Cody, after Arn got knocked off the apron inadvertently, after slipping also inadvertently, and then doing the spot and then falling, Cody went out of the ring to go check on him. And even last week, you could see Arn was telling him to forget about me, get back in the ring, you got a match. And Cody went on to lose. And Arn talked about that, and he said, you were so concerned about me. He goes, it's not about me, forget about me. You should have gone in there and ended it. But his mind was in other places. He wasn't focused the way that he should have been. So Arn told Cody that he used this great analogy. This is one of the highlights of the show. He used this analogy. He said, if a man had walked up to his car at a red light and demanded that he give him the keys and get out of the car, he would tell him to take it as long as he didn't hurt him, right? I think he was referring to Cody. He'd be like, oh, here, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. The difference is that Arn Anderson wouldn't handle the situation quite the same way. If it were Arn Anderson and somebody tried to pull that on him, Arn would pull out a Glock and he would blow this person's brains out and he would splatter that person's brains all over the concrete. And then he'd probably, when the light turned green, he'd probably drive home and read a good book. So Arn Anderson painting quite the picture there. Remind me never to carjack Arn Anderson. I'm going to put that on the list of things not to do. Do not pull Arn Anderson over at a red light and try to take his car away from him. He's very protective of his property. He drives a 1997 Mercury Sable that obviously is very near and dear to his heart. He's willing to die for it, or kill somebody to make sure that nobody takes it away from him. So, message received. And everybody cheered, by the way. They loved that story. They cheered this guy like, yeah, that's right, blow his fucking brains out. So I don't know for sure if the idea was to gain sympathy on Cody. After he told that analogy, he basically said, he told Lee Johnson, Lee, let's get out of here. He doesn't want to be associated with losers. And he and Lee Johnson, they left. Brandy was at ringside, and he left Cody in the ring all by himself. But he said he was done coaching losers, and I don't know if the idea here was to get sympathy on Cody, especially coming off what happened last week, where Cody got booed out of the building at Arthur Ashe Stadium. That's why I said last week, let's not jump to any conclusions and assume that this is the beginning of a heel turn, because it could have just been a one-week abnormality, which crowd reaction-wise, it wasn't. Although they were still in New York. They were still technically in New York State. We'll have to see how Cody is received in other cities and other states. But for the second week in a row, Cody got booed. Especially here during this segment. Cody got booed. I don't know if they were trying to, put sympathy on him, calling him a loser, or if the plan is indeed to do a slow burn heel turn and have Cody Rhodes go full on heel at some point, which he has said that he would never ever do. They've also said that he'll never ever challenge for the world championship, and he hasn't in 2 years, but I think we all know that's bullshit, and at some point, it's almost an inevitability that he has to, because where do you go from here? If at some point you do not challenge for the AEW title, what does Cody do? I said this on my podcast on Sunday. I think one of the issues is that because he has nothing to really fight for, when he comes back and he leaves and he comes back and he leaves, you look at Cody and you go, well, what is his purpose here? Is he just going to go after the TNT title again one day? Because it's so near and dear to his heart? Everybody is there to challenge for the world championship. They're there to be the AEW champion. Or if you're a tag team, to be the AEW tag team champions. Kenny Omega is the champion, right? Everybody, Bryan Danielson wants to be the champion. And I'm sure so does CM Punk and Adam Cole and everybody else. So why is Cody so special? I mean, what exactly is Cody's purpose at this point? He feels very directionless. And I think at some point they'll have to figure out a way out of that, and he'll have to maybe not hold it, but, challenge for the championship at some point. But as I said, these people cheered when Arn talked about blowing people's brains out, so he was definitely the babyface after that line. So we'll see if this is indeed a heel turn for Cody or not. Welcome to everybody who is joining me and not watching Rhodes to the Top. Thank you for joining me tonight. You've chosen me over Cody. Of course, Cody you could put on DVR and watch him later. So I thank everybody for tuning in here on a Wednesday night. We are heading into a trios match now with Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby Allin against Bear Country. That's Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson and Anthony Green, who had a cup of coffee in NXT as August Gray. That was the name he got in NXT, and he had a handful of matches on TV, and he got a nice kick in the ass, thanks for coming, and he got fired. So now here he is on TV working with Sting. 2.0 got fired from NXT. Now they're on Dynamite and Rampage, and they're working with Sting. These guys, it's been quite the upgrade for them since being fired. But what an entrance here. The baby faces come out. It's Moxley, it's Kingston, it's Darby, and it's Sting. And they're doing Moxley's entrance. And they're coming out through the crowd. Here's Sting, the visual of Sting in the face paint, walking through the crowd to Wild Thing, doing the Jon Moxley entrance. I just love that visual. Like, all four of these guys walking out together like this just look badass to me. I love that image of the four of them just coming through and walking through the crowd to that song. So, I also loved it when Sting got to the ringside area. There was the metal guardrail. And the camera cut back to him just in time to show him thinking about stepping over it or jumping over it. He sort of went to attempt it, and then he got a smile on his face when he realized that I can't climb over this fucking thing. I'm too old for this shit. And he just decided to walk around it instead. And I did get a nice little chuckle out of that. And you could see it on his face, like, fuck this. I'm not trying this. I'll step around it. So Darby immediately rolled up Anthony Green with a La Magistral before taking him down with a deep arm drag. Moxley and Bear Boulder, they tagged in and went at it. Boulder shrugged off some shoulder tackles from Moxley, and he caught a crossbody, planted Moxley with a power slam. Bear Bronson hit a running senton for a near fall. Eddie Kingston cut off a double team from Bear Country and dropped Bronson with a German suplex. So he basically he sent the bear back, you might say. Moxley did the same thing to Bear Boulder. Anthony Green tagged himself in. Darby took out Bear Country with a coffin drop. And Moxley and Kingston, this was the comedy spot. Anthony Green comes off the top with a cross body. He collides with Moxley and Eddie Kingston. They don't budge. And Anthony Green just falls to the mat. And Moxley and Kingston proceed to hit the Violent Crown for the quick win. This went, barely 3 minutes, I think it was. It was a glorified squash. It was a way to get these four guys out there. They had the badass cool entrance. It gave them something to do. You put some star power on the show. I didn't have an issue with it. And when the match was over, the babyfaces all invited Sting to come on into the ring, and he gave Anthony Green a Scorpion Death Drop, and that was the entire segment. So what followed was Orange Cassidy and the Dark Order with -1, Brodie Lee Jr., in his father's hometown against Matt Hardy. Now, -1 was not wrestling. He was just out there. Taking on Matt Hardy, Private Party, The Butcher, and The Blade, Jack Evans, and who? That was my reaction when I saw that. I'm looking, I go, is that Low Key? Who is that? I didn't know who the fuck that was. Like a short, bald guy with kind of a decent physique. From afar, I couldn't see who it was. It kind of looked like low-key. Apparently, it was Jorah Joel. I know nothing about this man. I went on his Twitter to see if I could find out more. And it mentioned that he was formerly known as the Punjabi Lion. So there you go. That's the extent of my knowledge about Jorah Joel. As soon as I took a look at Jorah Joel, I knew exactly why he was in this match, to take the losing fall. And I was right. That's exactly what he did at the end of this match. I thought this was booked perfectly. I'm not even, this was there for a very specific reason. This was there for the family. This was there for the talent who wanted to be on the show tonight and to do something special to honor Brodie in his hometown and to give the fans something that they could cheer for when it came to Brodie Lee. Not unlike a lot of the matches and stuff we saw on the Brodie Lee tribute show that AEW did in December of last year, which is probably the greatest television show that they've put together. It was a very nice tribute show. This was done in that same vein, so I didn't have an issue with it. Even though under normal circumstances, this was a 16-man tag team match. 16-man tag, 8 on 8. Normally, this would be a clusterfuck, and this was a clusterfuck. But I'm willing to overlook that this one time. For this one time, I thought it was fine. But right from the start, there were issues in the Dark Order. And Evil Uno was having issues with Alex Reynolds, and there was arguing, because this is what's been going on now for weeks. All the members of the Dark Order have been arguing with each other, and they've been at each other's throats, and there's, tension within the ranks. So they come back from break, and Alex Reynolds gets a hot tag, and he and Evil Uno, they're cooperating to take out, was it Jack Evans or Angel? It might have been Angelico. But there was a miscommunication. And so Evil Uno has had enough, and Evil Uno decides, I'm going to go to the back. And as he's walking, and I think Stu Grayson is kind of following him, Orange Cassidy tags in, he hits a top rope splash for 2. So as Evil Uno, and again, I think it was Grayson and some of the other members now, they're on the ramp, and they're arguing, and out comes Amanda Huber. Here comes John Huber's wife. And Ty Conti and Anna Jay, they walk out. And Amanda confronts Uno and Grayson on the ramp, and she's trying to talk some sense into them. And here comes -1. And shout out to Sarah Brown, who just became a new subscriber. Welcome, Sarah. -1 comes out. He tosses a roll of papers in Evil Uno's face. Like father, like son. That was an old bit that Brodie Lee used to do on, I think it was Being the Elite, all the time. So he throws the papers at Evil Uno, and it's almost like they all hulked up. Like it fired them up. And now they're back on the same page. And Uno and Grayson and Colt Cabana, and Colt Cabana standing there not 50 feet away from CM Punk on commentary. And Punk didn't say a word. He never mentioned Cabana's name. He was kind of silent whenever Cabana was on screen. So that was a little awkward. But they ran down to the ring, and at that point, they all hit dives. Preston Vance hit a spear through the ropes to the floor. John Silver went on a tear. I mean, this is like some of those big offensive flurries we've seen from like Cesaro on WWE television, where he'll just go crazy. And I've seen him do it a couple of times on TV, where he'll just go from, this guy to that guy, knock this guy down, knock that guy down, jump up on the top rope, hit a move off there, and the place is going nuts. And John Silver had this crowd going nuts here. And Preston Vance planted Jorah Joel with a spine buster. Orange Cassidy took out Matt Hardy with an orange punch. And Uno and Grayson hit the fatality for the win. For the good guys. The baby faces pick up the win here. After the match, Brodie Lee Jr., mask and all, he gets into the ring and they hoist him up on their shoulders and he's celebrating, and Amanda gets in the ring and they all share a big group hug, and it was, just a nice moment. And you had all these Brodie Lee signs in the crowd paying tribute to his father, and her late husband. So again, I didn't have an issue with this. That was the whole point of doing this. It was a nice thing to do, and it sucks that he couldn't be there to make that debut last year in his hometown and have that moment. And it might have been the last interview he ever did, which was that AEW Unrestricted podcast with Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards, where, he openly talked about how disappointing it was that he couldn't make his debut in his hometown. And so here we are now, 18 months later, and his wife and his son are in the ring, being able to kind of take it all in and see how much he meant to all the fans. And not just the fans, but the wrestlers. Because, obviously they were all very close. They all loved Brodie Lee. So it was a nice way to once again pay tribute to him. And I believe they have started a brand new foundation in his name and in his honor. So I'm sure you can find information on, I think it's called the John Huber Foundation, but whatever the exact name is, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that just launched this week. And so you can find more information about that online. I thought this was great. Exactly what it needed to be. Lio Rush is back. What a surprise. It wouldn't be. If you remember when I talked about his big retirement a few months ago, I said it ain't no retirement. Give it a few months. Lio Rush will be back. He's done this before. He's retired, and then he's unretired, and guess what? Now he's unretired again. Lio Rush is officially all elite. It is official. And what was that? Was that retirement number 2 or 3? I lost track. I think it was retirement number 2. But good on Tony Khan for talking him back off the ledge. Apparently, they've been having a dialogue for months. This has been a process. Tony Khan has talked to him on the phone. He has kept in touch with him this entire time. And he convinced Lio Rush to come back. If you want to come back, we'd love to have you. And so now he is back. And he had a vignette where I guess this is his new character. He talked about leveraged buyouts. Talked about LBOs. Leveraged buyouts. Samuel Collazo just became a new Sound Off superstar. Welcome to Samuel. As Bret Hart, there you see Bret Hart salutes you. Someone said that Lio Rush is going after Terry Funk's retirement number. Well, he's got some catching up to do if he's trying to catch up to Terry Funk. He's got a ways to go. But he was talking about leverage buyouts and how he makes profits for himself and for companies, and then he uses that money to pay off loans. I didn't know what the fuck exactly where he was going with this. He was trying to be the new $1 million man or what. But I guess he's the wealthy huckster. I guess that's, or wealthy shyster or whatever. I guess that's his new gimmick. He's the wealthy playboy here. Whatever his gimmick is, it's irrelevant. Lio Rush being, I say back, I mean, he made one appearance for them, but Lio Rush being back in AEW and a full-time member of the roster is a very nice addition to the roster. That's a very strong addition to that roster. Obviously, he's a smaller guy, and there are some people who say, oh, he's too small. I heard that knock on him when he was in NXT. But Lio Rush is an incredible performer. I talk about people like Dante Martin and watching them do things in the ring that just blow me away. Well, Lio Rush is that kind of performer. He can do things in the ring like a Ricochet where you'll be, amazed at the things that he can do. He's very smooth in the ring. He's a talented guy. But this whole, retirement thing, I told you from the get-go. I said he'll be back. I'm not going to eulogize his career because in a few months, it's going to be pointless, and here we are. It took less time than I thought. But I think he is a great addition to the roster. He'll do good things. So Dan Lambert was in the ring with the Men of the Year, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, and we had an abbreviated Dan Lambert promo here on this show. Thankfully, he didn't rant for too long. He was here to pay Chris Jericho a compliment. He took this terrible company and joined it, and somehow it is still standing. And when Jericho decided to confront America's top team, that was the end of his career. He talked about the big knee strike from Masvidal last week that knocked out Jericho. So they got loud chants of shut the fuck up. And then came the what chants. Now, we've heard them pop up here and there a little bit. We don't usually get what chants at AEW, but we got them tonight. Then Scorpio Sky took the mic, and he was being whatted to death as he is talking about being one of the first champions in AEW and, winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match that they had. And it still wasn't good enough, he said. Lambert was paying attention, and he sees what the fans ignore, that Scorpio Sky is a main eventer. So he hands the mic over to Ethan Page, and Ethan Page is also being showered in what chants. And Ethan Page did his damnedest to shut that shit down. He stampeded over the what chants. He just kept going. He wouldn't stop. He wouldn't take a breath. I thought he was going to start turning red in the face. He was out there. He was going to say what he came out there to say, and fuck all these people trying to do the what chant. And that's really the only way to do it. Even Steve Austin has said the only way to do it is to not give them an opening and just keep talking. And that's what Ethan Page did. And he just stampeded right over them in their stupid chants and talked about they're tired being overlooked. No longer will they be overlooked. And that was it. That was the entire segment. So they just wanted to get them on the show, say a few words. Nothing groundbreaking here. But good on Ethan Page for putting those people in their place. Fucking dumbest chant. Dumbest chant in wrestling history. I don't know about that. Green74 in the chat says Steve Austin is going to hell for starting that chat. I wouldn't go that far. But I have said the worst contribution that Stone Cold Steve Austin, for all of the positive contributions in the business that he did, the worst contribution that Steve Austin ever made to wrestling is that stupid what chant. That was the absolute single worst thing he ever contributed to this business. Ty Conti, and of course he disagrees. Of course he disagrees. He disagrees. He thought it was fun. Now, even he agrees, though, that, he didn't expect it to last 20 years. But he disagrees and has no regrets, I've heard him say, because, of course not, because he made a lot of money off of it. I'm sure he sold a lot of what t-shirts back in 2001 and 2002 when it was actually kind of fresh. But now it's almost 2022. It ain't fresh no more. Ty Conti and Anna Jay took on Penelope Ford and the Bunny. Very basic match. Jay and Conti attacked before the bell. They suplexed the heels on the floor. Ty Conti hit a series of judo throws and tagged in Anna Jay. And Penelope Ford and the Bunny sent Ty Conti to the floor, isolated Anna Jay in the ring. They go to a break. They come back. And Ty Conti gets the hot tag. She runs wild on Ford and lands a springboard crossbody and a suplex for a 2 count. Penelope Ford hits a stunner, followed by a fireman's carry gutbuster for 2. Anna Jay rolls out of the way of a moonsault attempt as Ty Conti hits the Ty KO on Bunny on the floor. Anna Jay inside locks on the Queen Slayer sleeper to Penelope Ford. And nighty-night. There is no place for her to go. She's flailing around, and that's the end of it. The referee calls for the bell. -1 runs down after the match. He was embraced by Anna Jay and Ty Conti. This little man knows what he's doing. This is a smart kid, I have to say. This kid knows exactly what he is doing. I'd run down too to get a hug from Anna Jay and Ty Conti. This sly little devil here, he knows what he's doing. Smart boy. He was raised right. Out came MJF. MJF was in the ring for a promo talking about how he wanted this company to be successful. He was willing to do whatever it takes to make AEW a success. And he said that AEW was on the cusp of greatness, and he called out the 4 pillars of the future of this company, something we've talked about on this podcast before and on many of these streams. When I have talked about the 4 or 5 young, hungry guys on this roster that they can build this company around for years to come. And MJF is on that list, and so is Hangman Adam Page, and so is Darby Allin, and so is Sammy Guevara, and so is Jungle Boy. That list is growing. There's a lot of young talent on this roster. For all the talk about it, people like to talk, all the WWE stars they're bringing in, like CM Punk and Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson and Miro and Ruby Soho and even Sting, the legends. Yeah, they have a lot of that. But for all of those talents and all those legends and big names and guys in their 40s or 50s, If you look at their roster, they are loaded with young talent. All you have to do is watch Dark or Dark Elevation every week. I can't even name all of them. I'm trying to keep up. So they have a lot of young talent on that roster, and there's a good core there that they can build around, and that's what MJF was talking about here in this segment. And he named a lot of the names that I've talked about. Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and of course he mentioned himself. And he pointed out that he's already beaten Jungle Boy and Sammy, and he called himself the greatest. He said, without him, this company ain't shit. Called himself the past, the present, and the future, and that is why he deserves to be the AEW World Champion. And he called out Tony Khan, who he referred to as being in the top 2 Khans in all of wrestling. And he said that if he didn't get the opportunities that he deserved, he had an old friend from MLW on speed dial. For some reason, I thought he was going to name drop Alex Hammerstone. I don't know why I thought that. But he said he had an old friend from MLW on speed dial that he would have to call up, named Bruce Pritchard. And my gag reflex kicked in. There's a fucking name I don't need to be hearing about on this show. It's bad enough I have to talk about him sometimes on the podcast with Raw and SmackDown. I don't need Bruce Pritchard having his name dropped here on this show. Bruce is the last person I want to be thinking about when I'm watching AEW Dynamite. I can only imagine how Bruce would handle some of this young talent on this show. So Darby Allin came out. He had heard enough. No Sting. Just Darby all by himself. Darby comes out to the ring. And MJF, and look, this is going to probably ruffle some feathers or rankle some people. I could just see people already pitch. I haven't even looked on Twitter to see if it's the next big controversy. I'm sure everything turns into a fucking controversy on social media. But MJF called him a school shooter on a skateboard. He said he looked like a school shooter on a skateboard. And I just thought, oh my fucking God, MJF. It's MJF being MJF. But he called him the second best guy. He said he's the second best guy. And said some of the second best guys have had great careers. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Some of the second best guys have gone on to have great success in this business. And he cited Scottie Pippen as an example, or even Sting, which is a nice little dig. MJF called himself Gretzky or Jordan. And then Darby spoke, and he told him, if you're not getting what you want, then just go. Leave. Go. He called himself AEW for life until death. And then he asked, how can he be the number one pillar when he's the only one with a championship between them? Meaning that Darby has been TNT champion before. MJF has yet to hold gold in this company. So MJF said that, look, he respects Darby because he's straight edge. And that got loud CM Punk chants. Even at the beginning of this segment, people were drowning MJF in chants of CM Punk. I'm telling you, that is going to be, just for the promo segments alone, that's going to be must-see TV when they eventually get around, probably next year, to doing Punk and MJF. Now, whether it's for a championship or not, I'm going to guess not, but it doesn't have to be. That's going to be a great feud. So as soon as he said straight edge, people started with the CM Punk chants. He had to be sitting there. I mean, they didn't have a camera on Punk during this segment when he was on commentary, but he had to be sitting there with a fucking smile on his face. He got a huge reaction when he came out at the beginning of the show. Multiple chants of CM Punk. That guy has to be just loving life right now. But he told the crowd that Darby is straight edge because when he was a kid, his uncle, when driving with him, drunk driving, and when it was over, his uncle died that night. I don't know if that's made up or that might be a legitimate story. I don't know. But he said the real tragedy is that the wrong guy died. I knew exactly where this was going. And he said the line and it got a reaction and you could hear the disgust in Tony Schiavone's voice and the announcers. And Darby didn't respond. He didn't retaliate. He didn't pop him in the mouth or anything like that. He just kind of closed his eyes and he took it all in and he stood there. And MJF he was trying to goad him. He wanted Darby to strike him. And Wardlow was standing right there. And he wanted Darby to just pop him right in the face. And Darby said that he wasn't going to break him mentally. You're not going to break me mentally. And MJF got frustrated and he ended up just walking out with Wardlow when he realized that he wasn't going to be able to get a rise out of this guy like any bully. He took his ball and he left. I thought MJF was on fire in this segment. This was an MJF promo. It is, you know what to expect when MJF goes out there. He's going to push buttons. He's going to push boundaries. He's going to say things that I'm sure are going to offend some people because, you know, they're sensitive, whittle feelings. I didn't find anything wrong. I don't think he stepped over any lines here. I thought this was a great heel segment. He was trying to push this guy's buttons and get a rise out of him, and it didn't work. And he got frustrated and he left. My criticism of this is about Darby. And Darby is one of the most popular stars in the entire company. We know that, right? Darby is one of their top baby faces. But the knock on Darby is the same knock I have on Jungle Boy. Now, Jungle Boy is a worse promo than Darby is. Jungle Boy just is not comfortable doing promos. I've heard Darby Allin promos that are just fine, where he's got fire in his belly and, you know, depends on the issue. He didn't have that fire here in this segment. And I get that the idea was he wasn't going to allow MJF to get to him, so he didn't want to kind of flip out. I understand that. That was kind of the whole point here. But the way that Darby delivered those final lines, like when he said, I'm not going to let you break me mentally, just the way he delivered his promo here, his whole demeanor and his voice and everything else, he sounded half asleep. I didn't think this was a good promo from Darby Allin. I thought this was kind of a dud from him. He needed to show more fire after, you know, MJF delivered that line. He didn't have to hit him. He didn't have to start hollering and screaming, but just show a little bit of fire, show a little bit of passion. And he just delivered this like he was, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of a WWE promo where somebody is just reciting lines that were given to them. No passion behind it or anything like that. I didn't think Darby did a good job here. But it looks like this is the direction that they're going to be going in, maybe building to a match of Full Gear between these two. And I think that it'll be a great match, and we'll see what other segments that they can come up with on TV to, you know, hold people's interest in this. These two guys needed something to do. They are two of the hottest young stars in the company. You put them together. Makes sense to me. So I'm guessing that's going to be the match of Full Gear. Crash says, it's Darby. You're expecting fire. Yeah, I'm expecting something. I just thought the way he delivered his lines here were shit. I didn't think it came across well at all. So then we got to the main event. And before we get to the main event, before I forget, I just want to send a very special happy birthday to someone who I know is joining us in the chat tonight. He is the man responsible for all of this great artwork that you see here on the channel, the thumbnails, the layouts, everything that he helps me with. His help has been immeasurable this year. And he's celebrating a birthday tomorrow. So everybody wish Steve Mello a very happy birthday. So I wanted to make sure I got that in before we got any further into this stream. I know you guys were all interacting with Steve each week usually. He's with us tonight, so happy birthday to him. Miro in the main event, defending the TNT Championship against Sammy Guevara. This was Sammy's big moment here. Sammy, of course, defending the honor, not only challenging for the championship, but defending the honor of his good friend Fuego del Sol, who lost his car. Now, why did he lose his car? Because he's a fucking idiot, that's why. Because he decided to put his car, his brand new car, on the line against Miro, and he lost. Everybody knew he was going to lose. Fuego's family knew he was going to lose. Fuego's parents and his grandparents and his aunts and his uncles and his cousins and his friends and his girlfriends and his ex-girlfriends, or maybe his boyfriends. I don't know. They all knew that he was going to lose. Why would you put your car on the line? I have no sympathy for him. He got what he deserved. And now Miro is off driving his Prius or whatever kind of fucking car it was. But Sammy is here defending the honor of his friend and trying to take the championship away from him. Sammy had a shooting star press early, and the idea was that Miro would catch him. This is what they were trying for. Miro would catch him in midair on this shooting star. And then he would give him a belly-to-belly suplex, overhead suplex. Sammy's momentum on the way down was such that Miro, he tried. Where's that Simpsons animated gif with the cake? He tried, but he fell forward. But then he quickly recovered, and he stood up, and he gave Sammy the overhead suplex anyway, as planned. I thought the idea of the spot was cool, but that's a tough thing to pull off. That is very hard to pull off. So they end up going to break. They come back from break, and Miro is just tossing Sammy around. He tosses him with a German release suplex. Total control. Miro is just punishing this man. Devin the Doppler just became a sound-off superstar. Man, these names are something else tonight. Devin the Doppler. What's up, Devin? Miro hit the ropes. He comes off, and Sammy catches him with a standing Spanish fly. So now the tide is turning. The fans are starting to feel it. This might be Sammy's night. Consecutive knee strikes from Sammy Guevara. And he goes for a pump kick. But Miro catches him. And Miro ends up coming at Sammy in the corner. Sammy gets out of the way. And Miro goes flying out to the floor. And then came a pretty insane spot where Guevara follows that up with this running dive out over the ring post. But not just like a simple cannonball. He does that twisting cannonball where he just throws his body out over the ropes, over the post, clears the post. He almost cleared the barricade. He's lucky he didn't go over the guardrail. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But anyway, so that was a fairly insane spot there from Sammy Guevara, who could do some pretty impressive things himself. Let's not discount what Sammy Guevara can do. I talk about Dante Martin, and I talk about all these people, but Sammy Guevara, don't sleep on Sammy Guevara, because he could do some pretty incredible stuff in the ring as well. So back inside, Miro, though, takes control. Miro is back in control. He goes for a savate kick. Sammy avoids it, and he went up top. Miro cuts him off, and he climbs up for a superplex. But Sammy knocks him off. And Sammy comes off with a cutter. He tries to get Miro on his shoulders. Sammy is going to go for the GTH. The go to sleep. The go to hell. The man who does the go to sleep is on commentary. He's going to go for the GTH. But Miro was too heavy, and Miro ends up hitting the kick. He goes for the pin, and Sammy kicks out. Sammy then wisely rolls out to the floor when he knew that game over was coming. So, presence of mind, he rolls out to the floor. And Miro goes and he starts pulling off the turnbuckles. And he goes to one corner and he pulls up one turnbuckle pad. He pulls up another one. Here comes Fuego to distract Miro. Miro knocks him off the apron, so down goes Fuego. Sammy's back in. He drop kicks Miro head first. He goes head first into the exposed buckle. Sammy hits a tornado DDT. Now the crowd is all amped up. And Sammy gets him up on his shoulders, and he hits the GTH, but he doesn't go for the pin. He doesn't go for the pin. He goes up top, and I figure, all right, he's going to get a little full of himself here, and he's going to end up the knees up, or he's going to roll out of the way. But he hits it. He hits the 630 senton, picture perfect 630 senton off the top rope, and he pins Miro 1, 2, 3. Sammy Guevara is the new TNT champion. So I thought that they would, put the title on Sammy. I just didn't expect them to do it tonight. That surprised me. The fact they pulled the title change off tonight surprised me because I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking maybe they would, maybe because, it's a special show in Rochester and the whole Brodie Lee thing, they want to send the fans home with something special and send them home happy. And that's what they did. And this crowd was very happy to see Sammy Guevara win that championship. And then all the wrestlers from the back come on in and they're celebrating with him as they go off the air. So it was a great moment for Sammy Guevara, obviously the biggest win of his career so far as a singles wrestler in AEW. And it ended what I thought overall was a very fun show. Like I said, they started hot, they ended hot. They had a nice little tribute to Brodie in the middle. And even if you think some of the other stuff in between was kind of filler, which it was, or felt that way anyway, I understand they wanted to get certain people on the show tonight, but I thought this was a thumbs-up episode of Dynamite. Now, this Friday on Rampage, we have Bryan Danielson one-on-one against Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks. So he is going to start going through members of the Elite. It starts with Nick Jackson. That's going to be a hell of a match. Orange Cassidy one-on-one against Jack Evans. It is hair versus hair. I'm telling you, we're going to get bald Jack Evans. Get ready. Unless they just give him a crew cut and they cop out of the stipulation. And one of the very few instances that I could think of a triple threat match in AEW. We have not gotten very many of these. It is going to be Jade Cargill one-on-one. Well, not one-on-one, but Jade Cargill, Nyla Rose, and Thunder Rosa. It's about time we get more Thunder Rosa on TV. I'm trying to think, how many triple threats have we had on AEW television? I feel like it has not been that many. This might be, second or third maybe in the history of the company that we have had? It's rare. It's rare that we get that. Next Wednesday is the Dynamite 2-year anniversary show. That is October 6th in Philadelphia. It is going to be the Elite taking on Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, and Jurassic Express. Hikaru Shida is back. She's looking for her 50th win in AEW one-on-one against the returning Serena Deeb. Good to see Serena. She had knee surgery, and she's obviously all healed up. So that should be a very good match. And the return of the Casino Ladder match, with the winner winning a World Championship match at a future date. And if you remember what I was talking about at the beginning of the stream, I said that we could be in a situation here where Danielson is going to go through members of the Elite until he gets to Kenny for the title at Full Gear. But then I heard about this ladder match being announced. And as I was thinking about what they could possibly do here in this ladder match next week, I said, could they be debuting somebody new? Could there be a big return? First name I thought of was Hangman Page. Could we see the return of Hangman Page next week? He wins the ladder match. That would avoid the whole thing where Kenny Omega didn't want to give him a rematch for the championship. Right? So he ends up winning the ladder match. That is how he then earns himself a championship match against Kenny Omega. Presumably, it could be presumably at Full Gear. The only thing with that is, though, if he gets the title match at the pay-per-view, then Danielson would not be able to challenge Omega for the championship. So that's sort of the only wrinkle in that plan. So it's interesting because they could go a few different ways with it. We don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I throw that out there as some food for thought. I throw that out there at you as some food for thought. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll and see what is going on here. 91% thumbs up and 8.6% thumbs down. We have a poll going in the live chat here on YouTube as well. 92%. We've got 92% thumbs up, 8% thumbs down. So an overwhelmingly positive score for Dynamite this week. It's like I said, that's the opener and the closer, and you put a little something special in the middle. And that, to me, is a recipe for a thumbs-up show. It's pretty simple, really. So there you have it. Again, you can vote at Solomonster is the place to go. And again, do hit that thumbs up and sub if you are not already subbed. And that little notification bell you see there, ring-a-ding-ding, there you go. Make sure notifications are on so in the future when I go live and all that good stuff, you guys will be able to be notified first and foremost. Now, on Friday, obviously I'll be back with the Rampage review, but we're going to be doing a hybrid stream. It's another double stream on Friday night after 11 o'clock as soon as Rampage goes off the air. Because it is a special episode of SmackDown. It is night 1 of the WWE draft. And so I will be reviewing SmackDown and night 1 of the draft and all of the moves. And then as soon as I'm done talking about SmackDown, we'll go right into Rampage. So you'll get a hybrid review on Friday night. You can come on back. Rampage is only an hour again this week, thank God. So a few minutes after 11 o'clock, we'll go live and we'll cover all that good stuff. So that about covers all of the housekeeping announcements there. So let me, Alejandro in the chat, yes, I do plan on watching that. I don't know when, but I do plan on watching that. So now let's take a look at your super chats. And again, I want to thank everybody who has not only joined as far as members, but also sent in a question here. I'm going to read your questions, and I shall do my best. I shall do my best to try to answer them in the order in which they were received, as we do each and every week. And it began, where is he? There he is, Naif Al-Safar, thank you, brother. Always the first. Always the first. Mr. Ozone wants to know if I will also be going live after Raw. That is a possibility. I'll know for sure this weekend. I'll let you guys know on the podcast. I might be going live after Raw Monday night. So if I'm covering night 1 of the draft, I may as well cover night 2. So you might actually get a rare, you might get a rare Raw stream. I don't do those very often, but because it is a special show, you might get one coming up on Monday. We have to see how this is all going to shake out with YouTube TV. I may not even have USA Network after tomorrow. I have YouTube TV as my provider. It doesn't look like they're going to reach an agreement, so I'm probably going to lose NBC, and I'm going to lose USA, and all these other channels. SNY, thank God there's only like 3 Mets games left. At least the season is over. But apparently they're owned by NBC Universal as well. I'm losing that. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But I'm sure I can find some way to watch the show live if I have to. Well, we got a lot of Braun Breaker fans here, huh? I count myself as one too. I'm all in. I think that's why NXT dropped so much this week in the ratings. Not enough Braun Breaker. They only had one little video package on him. Anyway, Naif, thank you for the... where's he at? Here we go. Thank you for the $9.99. I appreciate it. Brian Pissarra dropped $15 and he said, don't carjack Arn Anderson. He'll bust the cap on you. Yeah. One of the things that we learned tonight. You leave Arn Anderson in his car alone. Ryan Spies. Hangman's returning and winning that ladder match, right? Brian is already booked, so Hangman is the next most logical choice. That's my thought. You know, if he wins the ladder match, you can do Hangman and Omega at Full Gear and do Brian against Adam Cole. And if Adam Cole maybe is the last member of the Elite that he has to beat to get himself a championship match, maybe he loses. Maybe he loses to Adam Cole. Just it all really hinges upon whether or not Hangman is in that match. Because it's being built as a big anniversary show, I could see next week being the week that he comes back. And if he's in that match, he's going to win. And that could be his way into a championship match. Even if Kenny Omega doesn't want to give him a shot, it doesn't matter. If he wins the opportunity, he gets a title shot whether Omega likes it or not. That removes the, them having to come up with some kind of unique way of kind of shoehorning him into a title match. You have him win the ladder match, he's got the shot. It's a done deal. Food Hive, literally the third, here we go. Literally the third triple threat match in AEW history. I'm telling you, they haven't done very many of them. And because they haven't done very many of them, it feels kind of unique. We see so many tag matches. 6-man tags, 8-man tags, 16-man tags. We had a 16-man tag tonight. But triple threats, fatal 4-ways, it's not really something that they do. Tuxedo T Servo. MJF is the best. Asuka knowing about Becky's pregnancy and still making it feel spontaneous. I find myself always amazed with her as a performer. Well, that was random. Some praise for Asuka. Temjin Zephyr with the $10 super chat. Is JR's Sammy call the modern commentator call to his Stone Cold back in the Attitude Era? I mean, that's what he was going for. I wouldn't I wouldn't exactly put it on the same level. But yes, I do believe that is what he is going for with that. Vitamin Vision TV. I'm digging the Jungle Elite Killer Dragon Express. It's a hell of a name. Professor John Gotti. Thank you again. Dropping a $150 bomb in the first few minutes of the stream tonight. Thank you, my friend. I hope you are doing well. Hulkling93. I will forever remember this Dynamite for the one where Arn Anderson showed his battle rap skills. I pull out the Glock. Ty Kane in the chat says, I'm not feeling Sammy as the champ. He just won the title. He only just won the title. Give it some time. My God. He only first won the championship, and already he's not feeling it. The Phenom. Solomonster, been listening to you for over 2 years. You are the best podcast in the IWC. I am happy for Sammy, but where does Miro go from here, considering it will be a while before he gets a world title match? I don't know that Miro doesn't get the belt back. I don't think this is it between him and Sammy. It's very possible Miro will win the championship back. So I think that this feud is going to continue on for a little bit longer. Yes, that's right. Heb in the chat says Asuka hit 40 years old, as she did. She celebrated her 40th birthday a few days ago. She doesn't look a day over 30. She just turned 40. Steven Chappa had dropped that $25 Hardy Monster super chat. Not quite up to the professor's standards, but a little something from the chat's favorite English teacher. I thank you, sir. I thank you. Ryan Spies, Bobby Fish against Sammy Guevara is official for next week. Bobby Fish against Sammy Guevara. Oh, is that official? I did not know that because I was streaming. Apparently Bobby Fish is coming in to challenge for the championship next week. Well, there you go. Is that official? I need the chat to confirm it for me. Is that official? Is that what they announced during the first commercial break on Rhodes to the Top? Dry chicken without flavor. I'm here tonight in the chat and also checking Rhodes to the Top. Also a great Dynamite show tonight. Leo Rush is back in AEW. Super Game and Chill Bros with the $2. How about Bobby Fish against Sammy on Dynamite? I just heard about that. Apparently it is official. Natalie, thank you for the $5. I appreciate that. BG Thrilla, another at least solid show. Happy for Sammy. Team Forwood enjoyed Cole against Jungle Boy and Sammy against Miro. Those were the highlights of the show tonight. Jose Leanos with the $10 super chat. Man, 8 minutes in and they already are talking about Brandy's nether region. Watch the Sammy promo and then put the power button to good use. Excited for Bobby Fish next week. Bread Hart. This will be my last super chat in a while. Thank you for your hard work, Solomonster. Awesome show, but I am kind of sad that Miro lost his title. I would not necessarily count him out just yet. He may yet get that belt back. He had a good run. This was the Miro that I think a lot of us were waiting to see. And, what do they say? Don't be sad that it's over, but be happy that it happened. That was the Miro that I think a lot of us were waiting a very long time to see. Drew Johnson. Solomonster, you're the man. Huge night for my man Sammy. Long live the Spanish God. Sports and Things Shows says, get those likes up. Yeah, I know, people, it's like they're allergic to the like button. I've done all I can. It would make me very happy if you hit that like button, but people are going to do what they're going to do. Level 20, Factotum, I won't lie, Brandy talking about her yoo-hoo on this show kind of broke me. Seems like a dorky show, but some of the behind-the-scenes stuff is cool. Her yoo-hoo? Okay. I can see I'm missing quite the show tonight. Scott Woodford going to Full Gear and Rampage in Minneapolis. Will Scott have fun? That's right, they're bringing it to the Target Center, which is a nice big NBA building. We'll probably get about 15,000 people in there. We'll see if they can fill it up. Blake Henson, do you support the movement to have a Dynamite taping in the Mall of America? I do. And I will talk more about that on the podcast this weekend. I did see the back and forth on Twitter. I would love to see Dynamite at the Mall of America. And you just know that if they actually did that Sammy, or not Sammy, but Darby, would be doing a coffin drop from one level down to the ring. You know that he would want to do that. Groovy Goose, love the content. Your takes age well. Nice shirt. That's right, Brodie Lee. It's a Brodie Lee shirt on a Brodie Lee night. Thank you, Groovy Goose. Turtlehead, I like 2.0. That is all. They are entertaining. Dry chicken without flavor. After hearing Arn Anderson's promo to Cody Rhodes, Arn should motivate the Giants and Jets locker room after seeing them lose their games horribly. A back-to-back last-minute field goal losses for the New York Giants. It does not get any more painful than that. Tamara, the Mall of America is in Minnesota. I want to say Bloomington, I believe it is, but it is in Minnesota. Magician Sapphire. Loved everything about tonight's Dynamite. Can't wait for Arn's promo to appear on Botchamania. Magician Sapphire dropping the $10. Thank you, Magician. Ace of Masta. Rest in peace, Brodie Lee. Miss him. Thank you for the $9.99. Natural Scream Thrilla with the 5. Hope you set your DVR or at least find time on Saturday the 2nd at 8 p.m. to watch Joker on TNT. Well, look, if I'm gonna watch Joker, I don't want commercials. So I'll watch it a different way, but I do have to watch Joker. I will watch it. Cell Dweller Fangirl. Thunder Rosa is #1 contender. Will they do it now and have her beat Britt for the belt, or will Britt keep feuding with Ruby? Triple threat, maybe. No, I would hold off on Thunder Rosa. And look, she may be #1 now, but if she doesn't get a shot in the near future, I would assume that she could be knocked off her perch and somebody else could go on a hot streak and they could bump her down to #2. I would do what needs to be done to hold off on doing the match between them until Revolution. I would see if I can maybe save it for the February pay-per-view. I wouldn't go to it just yet. I think Britt has to hold on to that belt for a little bit longer. Profane Gaming. Wonder of Punk and Cabana buried the hatchet. I would think they probably haven't interacted with each other at all, would be my guess. Although I know that Leo Rush and Mark Henry have put their differences aside. I know that. When Leo Rush made an appearance in that Battle Royal, he and Mark Henry, he said at the time, had a very nice long chat. They put their history of issues aside, so they're cool. Dried Chicken, I would rather hear the shut the F up chants rather than the what chants today in AEW. Food Hive with the 5. I'm here, late to the party, been here the whole time, and definitely was not watching Rhodes to the Top while listening to the stream. Temjin in the chat says Solomonster would watch Halloween Kills faster than Joe. Oh, I'll be watching Halloween Kills, absolutely. I will watch that before Joker. Most likely, I will be watching that before Joker. But thank you, Food Hive. Frank dropping $9.99. Look at this. Who do you think will be the first two-time AEW World Champion? First two-time AEW champion. That's interesting. You know what? I don't know that it's going to be any of the people that have held it so far. I don't think it'll be Jericho. I don't think it'll be Moxley. And I don't think it'll be Omega. I don't know. I don't think we're going to have a two-time champion for at least a few years. I just feel like AEW wouldn't want to do that. At some point, somebody will repeat, maybe even three-peat. It's so far into the future that it could be, by that point, it could be anybody. So I don't even want to venture a guess. I don't think it'll be any of the people that have held it so far. Quintus Brown, very good show tonight. Leo posted a backstage pic of him and Mark Henry. Good that they squashed their beef. Drew Johnson, Solomonster, the safe word is helicopter. Oh boy. Oh boy, that brings up some horrible images. Temjin Zephyr, roses are red, violets are blue. If you are in a funk, Arn will pop that trunk. And Rizzo has the final super chat here. Try being a Lions fan like me. Brutal loss, good AEW. And do you think the rumors were true about Bray going to Impact and not AEW? I would think that he would appear tonight if he was going to AEW. Yeah, I saw a lot of people thinking that Bray Wyatt was going to be on the show tonight under whatever name he would use. Wyndham Rotunda. And unless he had some special arrangement with WWE, I think that people forget that he is under a non-compete until the end of next month. So right around Halloween time, I believe that 90 days is up. And so barring an early release from that non-compete, and I'm not sure why they would give one to him and not to other people, he wouldn't even legally be able to be on the show right now. But I'm still not convinced that he's going to AEW. I still feel like there's a pretty good chance he'll end up in Impact, but wherever he ends up, I don't think it'll be for at least another month. So there was always the possibility, but I didn't honestly believe that we would see him on the show tonight. So if you were somebody expecting him and you didn't get him and you're disappointed with the show tonight, I don't know why you were thinking he would be there anyway. Even if you wanted to be, because of Brodie and everything, legally, I don't believe he's able to be on the show for at least another 4 weeks. So that's why I never said anything about him, even on the podcast this week. I never uttered the name Bray Wyatt because I never really expected him to be there. Yeah, people are saying October 29th, so all this stuff about the rumor that he could opt out, why can't anybody opt out? Why would his agreement or his contract be any more special than someone else? That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. That's the first I'm hearing of this opt-out rumor, but obviously he was not there tonight. So that pretty much answers that. Dry Chicken dropped $5. Should AEW consider revisiting Britt Baker against Big Swole to allow the Doctor to get her win back? No. I don't think they need to go back to that. I don't really have any interest in seeing that. EJ Slemp, good show tonight. Just got back from a work meeting and I won Employee of the Month for the first time. Well, congrats to EJ. You didn't tell me what you do. I'd be more interested if I actually knew what you did for a living that got you Employee of the Month. It could be anything. You could be a federal agent for all I know. Quintus Brown, Arn basically called Cody a wuss on live TV. Arn's promo was awesome. I guess the Nightmare Family crap is done. Oh, the Nightmare Family crap is only just beginning. The Nightmare Family stuff ain't over yet. This is going to play out for a while. This is just the next sort of little chapter in the story. But I was a fan of Arn's promo tonight. Just the visual. I want somebody who actually has the talent to do this. To take a scene from one of the Grand Theft Auto games where you pull people out of the car, you get carjackings in that game all the time. And when they pull the civilian out of the car, I want like Arn Anderson's head on the civilian. As the civilian pulls out a Glock, it just blows the guy away. And then Arn calmly gets back in the car and drives off as the Horseman music plays in the background on the radio in the car. I want somebody who has the talent to pull that off to go ahead and do that for me. And then tweet it to me. That would pop me if somebody could do that. All right, so I think we're all caught up on your Super Chats, and thank you guys and everybody who went in on the new $25 Hardy Monster Super Chat, which will be there every week for those of you who are interested in that. But we do a little thing here on this stream when we get to the end, as you well know, courtesy of our buddy Zinfamous HD. A little something called Be the Booker, where I will randomly try to book a match that is the WrestleMania main event. I've had great troubles with this before. Have not had a lot of luck, unfortunately. We're going to give this a shot and see what match I book this week for the WrestleMania main event. Before I do, though, EJ just sent another super chat in. He says here, I am a night assistant at my college. I stay up until 4 a.m. in my building, and I am basically security. I am able to do homework and listen to the podcast. Okay, all right. Security. So you might be walking around with a Glock yourself. Very cool. He keeps people safe. That's a very noble job. It's like, I keep all of you safe here on these streams each week. Anyway, let's go to Be the Booker. And let us see what the main event is going to be this week of WrestleMania. What was the match last week? I think last week was an epic fail. Or at least on the Rampage stream it was. But let's take a look and see who one half of the WrestleMania main event is going to be. It is... Well, speak of the devil. You could not have timed that any better. Lio Rush. One half of your WrestleMania main event. How about that? How about the timing on that? The timing. Who is Lio Rush going to be wrestling in the main event of WrestleMania? Let's see. Let us take a look and see who his opponent is going to be. It is going to be Lio Rush one-on-one with Lance Storm. That is a fail for a WrestleMania main event. Great match. Don't get me wrong. Lio Rush is great. Lance Storm was great in his day. He's also a great teacher, great coach. But I'm sorry, that is a fail for a WrestleMania main event. I'm sorry to those two. Talented though they may be, that WrestleMania is no buys if you put that in the main event. I don't care if you have a 7... WrestleMania the last few years has been 2 nights. You could do a 7-night WrestleMania and have that be the main event on one of the 7 nights, and that would still be a fail. So we will have to try again. I'm not having a lot of luck the last few weeks. What was it? It was a Diesel and Nakamura last week, I believe, right? Kevin Nash and Shinsuke Nakamura. But we do them on the Rampage stream as well. So we'll make sure we do Be the Booker on Friday. You'll have to come back on Friday night. We'll do Be the Booker at the end of that stream as well. Proto Man in the chat says that'll be the bathroom break at WrestleMania. You never want the main event to be the bathroom break. That is something that you never ever want. Chris Quellman just joined the chat. One of our regulars. Did we talk about Bobby Fish challenging for the TNT title? We did talk about... I didn't talk about it. I mentioned it because I wasn't even aware of it. I was too busy streaming and doing my thing. And I was informed by you guys that Bobby Fish is coming in to challenge for the championship. So, yes, apparently that is true. And I think it's cool. Bobby Fish is not somebody who I believe has to be full-time on the AEW roster. But I think to bring him in as a one-shot for a TNT title match on TV. Yeah, the way he was kind of unceremoniously dumped from NXT. I think it'll be a cool thing for him. It's the same thing with Metalik. Yeah, we've heard the Grand Metalik has requested a release from WWE. We don't know if Metalik is actually going to be granted that release. But Bryan Danielson, before he left WWE, talked openly about the fact that he would love to get in the ring and have a match with Metalik. So now that Danielson is in AEW, I thought, well, Metalik, if he gets his release and he leaves, why not bring him in? Not full-time, but bring him in for a match. A TV match against Danielson on Rampage one week. You know, those kind of one-offs where you can actually put a great match or a fun match on TV. I don't see anything wrong with that. Dr. NXT Scorpio, this just in. Solomonster released from creative due to budget cuts. Well, I knew that was coming. I saw the Stanford number on my smartphone, and I didn't answer it, but I kind of knew what that meant. So now I guess I have my 90-day non-compete. I'll collect my downside guarantee of $0.00, and I will somehow move on with my life and find something else to do. Level 20, dropping $5. I wondered what irked you more tonight, the what chance or Bruce's name being mentioned. Probably Bruce's name being mentioned. It just, it gives me douche chills. I don't need to hear his name mentioned on TV at all. WWE, AEW. And plus, that's more of that kind of insider stuff. Like, we don't need that on TV. We don't need to be talking about Bruce Pritchard on TV. He doesn't deserve the recognition on TV. Just let him do his thing in WWE. Woo Name Generator says, isn't Bobby Fish in MLW? I believe he is. I don't know if he's got a full-time deal there, but obviously if he's in MLW, it's a non-exclusive agreement because he's working Dynamite next week. Food Hive wants to know, what was for dinner tonight? Walnut pancakes. Pancakes are fast becoming a Wednesday staple in this house. Very good. Powdered sugar on top, cut up some strawberries, sliced, maple syrup. Oh, delicious. The only Bruce on TV is Mr. Wayne. Bruce Wayne? Yeah, I'd be fine if Bruce Wayne wanted to make a cameo on Dynamite. I'll take him over Bruce Pritchard. No bar stories tonight. Again, none that I could tell. All right, guys, this has been fun. Thank you for all the love and all the super chats. Again, remember, Friday night is going to be a hybrid stream. We're going to be talking about night 1 of the WWE draft on SmackDown and then going right into the Rampage review. Bryan Danielson against Nick Jackson. That's going to be a hell of a match. I'm looking forward to that one. So come on back for that. This weekend, this Sunday, is episode 724 of the podcast. And next week, I'll let you guys know this weekend if there's going to be a Monday night stream. If I'm going to watch Raw live and stream live, you guys, I'll make sure you're the first to know. And next week is the big Dynamite. It's going to be like an anniversary/birthday hybrid stream next week. It'll be a lot of fun. That's coming up on October 6th. Look at this. Dried Chicken has to have the last word here. He's got the $5 super chat in with the weird Ultimate Warrior face. The only Bruce we could all appreciate is Bruce Banner, Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Lee. What about Bruce Jenner? What about Cousin Brucey? Anybody know Cousin Brucey? Is anybody in this chat old enough to get that reference? Apparently not. Apparently I'm the only one. All right. I'm going to head out. Have yourselves a great night. I will see you back here live on Friday night. Chris, don't worry about it. I'll see you on Friday. I'll see all of you on Friday. Until then, Take care, guys.